Yes, indeed. It's your boy C Dub here, sitting in for Ike Jones. You are watching The Town, courtesy of the Auburn Express, powered by the War Report. Of course, the final from Neville Arena. Surprising, shocker, upset. Auburn falls to number 6 Florida Gators, 90-81. Before we get started, guys, do the necessary. Get in here. Please be sure you may not like the outcome of this game, but we need you to smash that like button on this video. Subscribe if you're new to the channel. Also, please be sure to share our videos, adding us, and please use the hashtag there, guys. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. A bit of a surpriser. Auburn falls to Florida, making it their first home loss, first conference loss as well, falling to the Florida Gators. Bit of a disappointing game, guys. The shooting for Auburn. Auburn struggled from the field in this game. Auburn shot right at 43%. 3-point shot was not too, it was worse than that. It was actually 31%, 7 of 22. Free throws. Auburn went 14 of 23, missing 9. You lost by 9. So free throws played a really big part. And because of how these games have gone in the past, Auburn has played so well and outplayed opponents to where missing free throws doesn't really seem to matter, but it made a huge difference in this game here. Florida actually made their free throws, shooting 15 of 18. Florida actually shot 48% from the field, 39%, almost right at 40% from 3-point. Walter Clayton Jr. Definitely came back and looked good. He was 6 of 11, 19 points, the leading scorer for them. For Auburn, Miles Kelly was actually the leading scorer. I think this may have been the first time he would have the game high all season, but he had 22, 8 of 18. Just an inefficient day for Auburn offensively. And when we get into the actual individual stats, some of the guys just did not have a good game, but we'll talk more about that in a minute. Credit to Florida for coming ready to play. This was one of the teams when we've talked about Auburn basketball in the past, even though this was a home game and we understand how tough it is to beat Auburn at Neville Arena, Florida, for some reason, concerned me. This was a team that concerned me, and I had this one maybe as a loss for Auburn. I was on the fence about it. Turns out that concern was actually legitimate. They played well, but let's get to the stats. Interesting enough, Auburn and Florida were pretty even on the boards, 40 apiece. Auburn actually had more offensive rebounds with 15. Florida out rebounded Auburn from the defensive standpoint, 29-25. Auburn had 16 assists to Florida's 22. And all around, it's just Florida just played well. Auburn did not turn the ball over. It's just that Auburn just did not shoot well. And I think that was the frustrating part in this game, is that there were so many missed shots around the basket. Again, this is something that we've been noticing for Auburn in the past, that they were missing a lot of shots around the basket. Janai missed some shots around the basket. Again, leaving points on the court was frustrating to see. And again, you were able to pull it with in under 10. Some of those baskets would have made a huge difference down the stretch. Again, you got to credit Florida for coming out ready to play. They shot very, very well in this game. We're going to have some people join on. Actually, I got my guy Dustin from the and he's ready. Dustin from the Up Tempo. How you doing, good sir?
What's up, buddy? How are we doing today?
Dustin, I need you to do a favor for me, man.
Okay, I got you.
When I see you, I don't need to be seeing you after an Auburn loss. Okay, we was doing this in football. I was hoping we would stop doing this during basketball. But tell me, give me your thoughts, man. How you played, man? I mean, how you feel about how Auburn played today?
I mean, obviously we didn't play our best game. I think if you tell me before any game with Bruce Pearl's our coach that Auburn's going to score 81 points, especially at home, I'm going to assume that we win. But we gave up 90, and that's not really, it's not what we built this program on. So I'm a little disappointed in the I'm not going to say defensive effort. I don't think it was great at times, but it's really just, to me, it was execution. I thought you saw them fight till the end, getting it down to a 9-point game, even though it was kind of Florida was in control of it the whole time. It was going to happen, man. Like when you looked at this stretch of games that Auburn had coming up, I think
Yeah.
I would have guessed on the road, like Bama on the road, something like that. But Florida's given Auburn trouble for a long time. It's usually in Gainesville, but they're a great team, man. So I want to give full credit to Florida. They're a very good team. They might very well. It's between us, Alabama, and Florida, in my opinion, for the top 3 teams in the conference. And Auburn just got today. Like, it just felt like you look at the numbers, and it doesn't really tell the full story, because it felt to me anyway during the game as it was going on. Like, they were just making their crucial plays. Like, they were getting the rebounds when it was important, right? And anytime that
Right.
Auburn it looked like we've seen Auburn do so many times to people. Anytime like Auburn was about to get back in the game, Florida got, that one possession really stands out there with like 5 or 6 minutes to go, where they got 3 possessions and eventually hit a 3
Yeah.
out of it. It's like, okay, man, it's just not
Yeah.
your night. And Auburn's got the bounce a lot of times this season. Auburn's made the right plays a lot of time this season, and just it didn't happen today. It didn't happen versus the number 6 team in the country, and it is what it is, man. My opinion of Auburn overall hasn't changed at all. Like, nothing, like the needle didn't move for me. All the quad one wins that Auburn got before today still exist. Like, Auburn's still that team. We know what it is, bro. It's a long season and a tough league, and Auburn got today by a really good team. And I'll final point. It can give you the chance to hit the reset button, because it wasn't until there was like 3 or 4 minutes left to go in this game to where I realized, okay, it's over. Like, even when it was probably 11 or 12 minutes ago, you really felt like Auburn's not going to win this game. I still was like held out hope, because I've seen this team and I know what they're capable of. So, when it got down there to the end, you're like, oh, okay, like, it's actually not going to happen today. And that just kind of speaks to what this team is overall. Like, 9 times out of 10, you feel like they're going to pull that game out, get back in it. But you can't dig that big of a hole, man. I think
Yeah.
where Auburn lost this game, Caesar, was the final 3 minutes of the first half.
Yeah.
Brutal into the first half, and
Yeah.
that was kind of, you just dug yourself too big of a hole versus a team like Florida. It is what it is, man. Hit the reset button. I think this Auburn team, for rightfully so, was probably starting to feel a little invincible, and now you go back to the drawing board and you got some stuff to work on.
Indeed. Some people, before we get into it, actually, we're gonna jump to the comment section. You guys have a lot of thoughts on this game. Again, we appreciate y'all being with us. Let's grab some of the comments. Ben Bloodworth says, "I can't believe we lost to the University of Supercuts." I call them George University, man.
Yeah, but I say Gene Short Capital down there.
Yeah, George University for sure, man. Heavy says, when does the AU Florida game start? Heavy, I'm looking on TV. I don't know what we just watched, but soon as we find out when the game starts, we'll let you know, man. We'll let you know. Bruce, Phil Petway says Bruce called it, and again, this is a very pointed point here. Bruce said early on, Auburn's going to lose some games in conference. He said it confidently, Dustin. And obviously the fans and us, prisoner of the moment, Auburn's looking invincible. Come on, Bruce. They may surprise you here. But again, this is a guy who knows his team. He understands the conference. He understands the schedule. This is a very brutal schedule. And again, you got to credit teams like Florida coming into Neville Arena down one guy, right? And playing perhaps the best game of the season for them to pull off the upset. You're going to have teams gunning for you. You're going to have some teams that are in the top 10, in the top 25, who are not afraid of Auburn and are willing to take it to them. And Golden's teams have always been of that makeup and DNA. When Auburn matches up with them, I just get nervous, because this is a team that just does not seem afraid of Auburn at all.
They're not. It's when you watch Florida, you understand that their coach came from the Bruce Pearl tree. Like, they're aggressive, they're relentless, they play defense like in this tenacious manner. It makes sense. I mean, I felt like I was watching like a mini version of Auburn,
Yeah.
And I don't say mini version of them to like diminish them. They're a great team that could easily make a deep run in March.
Absolutely. I mean, again, this is off the Bruce Pearl tree. So again,
Yeah.
What can you do? It's like Bama playing under Nick Saban playing Georgia, right? It's just like, okay,
and he knows Bruce, right? Like, he knows what Bruce is going to do, obviously. So
yeah. All right, let's get to appreciate the comment. And Phil comes back, says we missed a lot of
Yeah,
shots around the goal. And this is
yeah.
something that we've been seeing a lot of, whether it's been with our bigs or guys driving to the basket, not finishing plays in terms of finishing to the basket, man. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, and I see Robert in the comments saying, asking what's going on with Janiyah Broome. Is he missing he's been missing some easy baskets around the hoop. Um, is it the injury for him? I don't know. Like he doesn't appear to be playing too much slower. I don't think he's 100% obviously. But you still expect him to make some of those shots. I mean, teams are playing physical with him. He's getting doubled a lot. You
Mhm.
saw in what was the game recently where we went 14 for 28 from three, and they double. I already forget who it was. It was the last road game, but they doubled us all night, and we just knocked them down. And Janiyah was just finding them. Same thing with Dylan. Dylan and Janiyah had 8 assists in that game.
Mhm.
We weren't knocking those down
Or
tonight.
Ole Miss.
Yeah, Ole Miss, Ole Miss. So we weren't knocking those threes down tonight, right? Like we weren't
Mhm.
hitting those shots. And then it just, I think it kind of, I think it kind of all bled together at some point. And they were being physical with Janai, and we've seen, and I'm not like the refs didn't lose this game for Auburn, and it really, by the way we shot free throws, it wouldn't have mattered if they
Right.
were on our if they
Right.
were on our side. We weren't making the free throws. But I feel like the refs are kind of have been officiating Janai in conference play to this. I'm not gonna say like Shaq in the '90s, but it's kind of like that where it's like they're letting a little bit of stuff go down low on Janai. They're allowing a little bit more contact than I think that other guys get, and it's maybe they're saying, hey, look, you're the best player in the country. You're down here working these boys. We're going to let them get physical with you. So I think that's part of it. And again, he's not 100%, and it's a long season. Like it's a long season, and he did bounce back and have a better second half. He went through a rough shooting stretch there today, and it hasn't been the best lately. But I think he'll be fine, man. I'm not worried about. I'm just not worried about it. It is what it is. This is a really tough conference and it's funny, the the SEC, even in basketball, all these programs, man, Florida, Tennessee, Alabama is really the only one at the top tier that's not built around defense. They're running and gunning, and they're trying to outscore you. But the
Sure.
majority of the SEC programs, man, they're built on defense
Mississippi
and getting
State.
stops. And boy, like Janai Broome's coming in. You got 2-3 days to prepare for him. National player in the country. You're gonna lock in and study film and be ready to stop him. So I think Janai he'll get healthier, man. Then on top of that, he'll adjust to what defenses are doing to him, and he'll be fine.
Lawrence Robinson says finishing at the rim killed us.
Yeah, it was a
Yes,
rough
yes,
night.
indeed. Yes, indeed. Jamal Pye says Florida wasn't missing free throws when we
Mhm.
needed them to, and Denver missed his first free throw, and I knew it was going to be a long game. Denver Jones did not have a good game today. And one of the things I'm tough on Denver Jones just because this is a talented guy. Obviously, we know what he means to Auburn on the defensive end, and so there's kind of a grace you give Denver Jones, knowing that he typically draws the toughest defensive assignment, especially when you have a guy like Walter Clayton playing for Florida. You know Denver has his work cut out for him. I think that Denver Jones, because of his talent, because of his ability, a goose egg is unacceptable for him.
Mhm.
It's unacceptable. You need Denver, and then when I say goose egg, I simply mean from field goals. Obviously, he went to the line twice, went 2 or 4. Again, that was weird. That was interesting seeing him go 2 for 4 from the free throw line, but to go 0 for 4 in field goals in a tight game again. I go back to the last time Auburn lost against Duke. Denver was a no-show, and so
Yeah.
I think Denver can get you 6 points, 6 to 8 points a game. That's just the type of guy he is. Even with him working his butt off on the defensive side of the court, he can give you 6 to 8 points. And again, Auburn lost by 9. He plays a decent game. Auburn's in that game. Chad Baker Mazara did not really have a good game today. 2 for 6, 6 points. And he seemed to be kind of out of place defensively too. In this game, he seemed kind of off today. What do you think about Chad?
Um, well, I'm gonna start with Denver and just say that we all know, and we've seen it in recent years where Auburn's exited the tournament early, that guard play is what's going to carry you in March. As good as Janai is,
Mm-hmm.
as good as Jalen Williams was for us in past years, front court can only take you so far at a certain point, right? Even the Jabari Smith Walker Kessler led team didn't have a guard that could get it done for you when you had to in the moment, right? So I completely agree with you, and it's a great point you make as far as the Duke game and the Florida game. Now Denver struggled and Auburn gets the loss because those are the kind of teams, Florida and Duke, those are the teams that are on Auburn's level. Those are those Elite Eight, Final Four type teams where we think Auburn, if they handle their business, where we think Auburn should be, right? So
Mm-hmm.
if the saying goes, guards wins you game in March. Well, this was a March level game, and
Right.
your guard didn't play up to the standard, and you took the loss. So I agree with everything you said on there. And yeah, I mean, yeah, just if you're gonna have a game where CBM struggles, you're gonna have a
Right.
game where Denver struggles as well. Then it's like, okay, well, I really hope that Miles goes off and that Janai goes off, and you need other guys to kind of go off, and they just didn't. And but even then, it's like, again, you still scored 81. So my
Right.
problem really is with some of, and it's not effort, but for me, it was, and I'd have to go back and watch it again. But in the moment, watching it live, it felt like Denver and Chad were not where they needed to be, specifically in rotation on 3-point shots. Like
Yeah, man.
we were letting Florida get open looks from deep, and there was a point there in the first half where we were really struggling at it, and Denver had a couple of lapses in execution, and they banged the threes home, and then ultimately you're in that 10-point hole, and it's just, you can dig yourself out of holes versus certain teams, but Florida, man, yeah, that's an uphill battle. So yeah, for me, it's really, as frustrated as I am with Denver going 0 for 4 and CBM struggling from the floor tonight as well. And there's no excuse for the free throws, but I'm more upset with the execution at defending the 3-point shot for Florida, because I know those guys are better at that. Like, I know Denver Jones is an elite defender. I know that CBM is a very good defender, especially on the wing. And that's where I think they let us down tonight the most.
Agreed. Let's get back to some of you guys' comments. Gracie Skywalker says Auburn is the best team in the country. Duke is booty. They play no one. Auburn will be a top overall seed. We'll see. We'll definitely see. Listen, I think there is a vested love affair that the media has with Duke right now, and I could easily see them being number one next week. I really can, Dustin. I can see it. I'll be surprised if Auburn is still number one. Obviously, Auburn has an incredible resume up to this point. But Auburn has been the number one team for 3 weeks now.
Yeah, it's been going on for a little bit.
Yeah, so they've held it for a while, longer than any other one number one this year. But I'm thinking they're ready to give Duke that number one. Obviously, Duke plays on the road against Clemson, which is 18-5. So it's interesting to see how they do tonight against them. So again, they got to win their game in order for that to be to talk about who's going to be number one. Cardell Phillips says Auburn needs to get back to fundamentals, especially blocking out and rebounding. Let's talk about this, Dustin. What are your thoughts? Because one of the things that Ike talked about when he previewed this game was how well Florida is on the offensive glass. They didn't really do a lot of that in this game, believe it or not. There were some frustrating moments that they got key offensive rebounds, but they really didn't dominate the offensive boards like they're accustomed to. However, what was interesting to see was seeing Auburn, because of how aggressive they are trying to go for the shot, they tend to take themselves out of position when crashing the boards against Duke. What do you think we see moving forward? Obviously, again, defensive rotations, it has to improve moving forward. But what are some things you expect to see from Auburn? I expect them to still be the aggressive team. I think they did a good job of not getting in foul trouble in the first half. Now that changed in the second half.
Yeah.
But what are some things you expect to see moving forward defensively?
I think Auburn's closer to the defensive effort that you saw versus Tennessee than what you saw tonight. Now obviously Tennessee, that game's like the gem. That's the shining star of the season so far as defensive performance. But I still think Auburn's a great team defensively, and it's kind of like I just know Bruce Pearl, man, and I know that giving up 90 points in Neville Arena is not gonna fly. It's not. It's not gonna fly. So I wouldn't want to be in the next film session. I wouldn't want to be at the next practice. He's gonna be on them boys about that, and as right he should be because we didn't. There's just something like Florida. It was at their pace. Like this game was played at the pace that Florida wanted it to play, and we've seen Auburn's defense so many times before, and it's in college basketball, I see a lot of people always they say, "Well, I just hate when Auburn goes on these 4 or 5 minute scoring droughts." I get it, but if you watch other college basketball games, it happens to all the teams, man. Like they're not there are a lot of college basketball games. There's not an NBA player on the court, right? Like there might be 3 or 4 minutes where buckets don't get scored. When what Auburn has traditionally done under Bruce Pearl is when Auburn goes into those scoring droughts, defense leads to offense in transition.
Mm-hmm.
And that never happened tonight. That never happened tonight.
Yeah.
And then so then Auburn's trying to set up in the half court. And guess what? Florida's coach knows the flex cut, okay? He's worked under Bruce Pearl. He knows what it is. They're set up for it. So Auburn's defense tonight and not being able to cause chaos, not being able to Florida had 12 turnovers. And it felt like even on those 12 turnovers, Auburn just didn't
do anything.
And there wasn't a lot of opportunities. We didn't see we're so used to a Neville seeing the steal lead to the fast break lob, or the corner three, Miles Kelly bang, and none of that. There was none of that tonight. So, but I think it's a one-off. See, I do. I bet the defense next game is way better than what we saw tonight.
Fast break points. Auburn had 3 to Florida's 14. So to your point.
I mean, yeah, dude, Auburn's not going to win any games with 3 fast break points. That's not
in this type of game. Not in this type of game. Let's get to some more comments real quick, man. And Lisa Wise, appreciate you being here with us. He says no one is going undefeated in the SEC. At some point, you hit a wall. Unsettled is the word I would use to describe this game. Losing this way may be good for us. Let's see. I'm interested to see how Auburn respond next week. They have another tough week. They go on the road against Vanderbilt, who obviously you could have called that a trap game, looking ahead potentially to Bama. But I think after you've been humbled, Auburn's not looking ahead to anybody. Auburn's looking to get this taste out of their mouth and really get back to playing their brand of basketball and really notching another win in the SEC. Your thoughts on this one, man?
I think that if I was Vanderbilt, and I think they got a big win today, but probably not what they wanted to see. They probably wanted Auburn to come in there 10-0 because, like Lisa says here, you're not going to go undefeated in the SEC. That's why I have the tone that I have here. So we know what it is. But if I'm Vanderbilt, I'm looking at that and I'm like, boy, if this Auburn team is what we all think it is, they might come in here in the middle of the week and wax our ass. And I'm expecting Auburn to win by 8, 10, 12. I'm expecting a big win versus Vanderbilt now because I think this group responds. So
CJ DeJour says we have been number 1 since January 13th, a very, very long time. Like I said, we've been number 1 a minute. I agree. Curious to see if that holds after this week. Turkey B says media has been waiting for Auburn to lose. I think a lot of people have been waiting for Auburn to lose. It's something about being number 1, Dustin, to where after a while people just get tired of you. They want to see a new number 1, and that tends to happen a lot here. But it's bound to happen. You got the target on your back, and if you're playing in a tough conference like the SEC, it's impressive to even hang on to it as long as Auburn has, given the level of competition Auburn has played, as well as the adversity Auburn has had to deal with injuries and whatnot. Ike says the first half defensive rotation was awful. I would have to agree with you there. I would definitely have to agree with you there. Any thoughts? Any thoughts? Closing thoughts, Dustin, before we get out of here?
No, I mean, listen, it's like I said, it is what it is. There's not. You just got to learn and grow from it. And when you play the schedule that Auburn has played, non-conference, and now conference, to be sitting here with 2 losses. Like, let's all go back to the opening night of the season. If I ask you, would you take this?
Right.
You'd have signed up for it in a heartbeat, right? So, like, you know, look, it sucks, and I don't like this little thing going on with Florida where they're beating us more times than we're beating them. It's aggravating, especially for somebody like me that has to live down here with the Florida fans. Okay, I'm gonna have to hear it Monday at work now, but you know, look, Auburn's fine. Auburn's fine, and I'm fully expecting Auburn to come out versus Vanderbilt and have a big night. I think Denver Jones will bounce back. You know, like, it's just And to everybody, like, I see that they're crashing out on social media, and we've just, you know, it's funny to me because it's like, man, Auburn's been good at basketball for like a decade now, right? Like, and we've got to learn, because we've seen it time after time after time, what the committee values. And I don't think that this loss right here affects Auburn's resume at all. And I don't want to sound like I don't like losing, man. But I still think Auburn's the best team in the country. I still think that Janai Broome is a National Player of the Year. The one thing that you can't do is you can't let it stack. Like, you can't let it compound and then get the ball rolling and start developing bad habits and all that. So you've got, and that's another cool thing about the SEC being so good. It's not like, okay, you just lost a close game and now you got to wait 2 weeks until you see Kentucky or Tennessee again. Nah, man, like, you've got more opportunities this week. And if Auburn comes out here and beats Vanderbilt in the middle of the week, then this game is erased from your memory. And now, you know, now everyone's back happy again and all that kind of stuff. So you've got plenty of opportunities. And for me, since I would say Maui's when I realized just what the ceiling for this Auburn team is, and it's national championship. So while the ride is fun, I'm not gonna like get too high or too low. For me personally, and everybody fan out how you want to fan out. I'm not telling anybody how to be a fan, right? But for me personally, man, I'm not gonna get too high or too low with this team, because I know what the ceiling is. I want to see this team get to March healthy and playing its best brand of basketball, because the ceiling for this team is national championship, and there's no reason for them not to make a deep run. So learn from the lessons that, you know, the mistakes that you made tonight. It's really, like Ike said, to me, majority of the problems tonight were execution and defense. And I keep saying that because I don't think it was an effort thing. I just think that for whatever reason, Florida they had a good game plan drawn up, and they beat us in a lot of different areas, and they created open shots. And then it just, the timely, like again, we've seen Auburn before. Oh, you're trying to get back in the game? Nope. Here's a 5-0 run. That happened to us tonight. So, good team, man. I still think Auburn's the best team, one of the best teams in the country. And I'm now excited for this Vanderbilt game to see how this team responds.
Indeed. Listen, appreciate you hanging out with us, Dustin. Tell the people, pub your stuff, man. When's the next live?
Come hang out with us tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. 9 a.m. Come check us out in the morning. We'll be waking up, talking some Auburn hoops, baby.
And you can catch us tomorrow on the weekend tailgate at 1 p.m. Central Standard Time. Please be sure again to share this video, smash that like button, and subscribe to the channel. You can find us on social media. That is X and IG at The War Report. We're even on TikTok at TW Report. That's it for now, guys. But we will definitely be back tomorrow with the weekend tailgate. Please be sure to stop by the Up Tempo Pod, subscribe to their channel, and check out their content, amazing content. And enjoy the rest of your weekend. Try to enjoy the rest of your evening. Tough loss, but there's more games on the way. More dubs on the way for Auburn basketball. Enjoy the rest of the evening, y'all. War Eagle.